Imagine waking up one day and feeling a deep stir inside you. The world around you suddenly feels extraordinary, and you sense a pull, a purpose, like you're meant for something greater. But how do you know if you're one of the chosen ones? Is it a calling, a sign, or something you've been overlooking? In today's video, we're revealing the 9 unmistakable signs that confirm you're one of the chosen ones. These signs are often overlooked, but they hold the key to understanding your divine purpose and how you're meant to make an impact in this world. Whether you've been sensing a higher guidance or felt different your whole life, we're diving into signs that show you're destined for something extraordinary. Expect spiritual truths and practical examples that will make these signs clear, from having an unshakable intuition to enduring trials that shaped your character. These 9 signs will help you understand not just who you are, but why you're here. Stay tuned as we uncover the first sign that you might just be one of the chosen ones. It's closer than you think. Before we get started, if this video resonates with you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. That being said, let's get started. Sign number 1. You are set apart from others. Being chosen by God often comes with a profound sense of being different. From an early age, you might have felt like you didn't quite fit in with the crowd, as if there was something unique about you, something the world around you couldn't fully understand. This feeling of being set apart can often lead to experiences of loneliness or isolation. But here's the powerful truth. Being chosen means you have a purpose that transcends the ordinary, and it's not always going to align with what the world expects. Take Moses, for example. Raised in Pharaoh's palace, he had all the comforts and privileges of royalty. Yet, deep within him, he knew there was something more. He was not destined for a life of luxury in Egypt, but for a purpose much grander, leading the Israelites out of bondage and into freedom. His journey wasn't without its struggles. And for a time, he even experienced feelings of isolation, doubting his ability to fulfill the task God had set before him. But God's plan for Moses was unique, and it took him on a path that, at times, seemed far from the norm. Similarly, if you've ever felt misunderstood or out of place, it might be a sign that God is preparing you for something greater. Being chosen doesn't mean you'll follow the crowd or live according to society's expectations. In fact, it often means the opposite. It's about embracing your unique purpose, even when it feels like you're walking a path alone. Just like Moses, your destiny may be different from what you initially imagined, but it's leading you toward a higher calling. The world may not always understand your journey, but God has a plan, and that's all that truly matters. Sign number 2. You experience deep challenges. Being chosen by a higher purpose isn't always an easy path. Just look at Moses, one of the most prominent figures in the Bible. While he was called to lead the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt, he didn't immediately embrace the role. In fact, Moses was reluctant. He questioned his abilities, his worthiness, and his confidence. When God first called him from the burning bush, Moses didn't jump at the chance. Instead, he argued, saying he wasn't eloquent enough and didn't have the leadership skills needed. He feared rejection and failure and even doubted his capacity to fulfill such a monumental task. But it was precisely those struggles and doubts that God used to shape Moses into the leader he needed him to be. Moses' journey was filled with challenges. He faced the wrath of Pharaoh, the doubts of the Israelites, and even moments of personal weakness. But through each trial, Moses grew in faith and perseverance. His struggles refined him, making him stronger, wiser, and more capable of leading a nation to freedom. Similarly, the challenges you face today could be preparing you for something greater. When you feel overwhelmed or unworthy, remember Moses' story. He didn't start off as a bold, fearless leader. He became one through hardship and persistence. Every obstacle you encounter could be a lesson, an opportunity for growth. Your struggles may seem like setbacks, but they are often the very experiences that prepare you for your divine purpose. The path to fulfilling your purpose might be tough, but it's these challenges that mold you into the person capable of achieving great things. Just like Moses, your strength will rise through the fire. As a chosen one, you may experience a powerful sense of urgency that seems to pulse through your veins. It's not just a fleeting thought, but a deep, undeniable pull in your heart, a calling to act now. This is more than a simple desire for success or recognition. It's a divine urgency to fulfill a greater purpose. It's like being on a mission you can't escape, no matter how hard you try. This sense of urgency can feel like burning passion, much like the one Esther experienced in the Bible. Esther, a young Jewish woman who became queen, found herself in a pivotal moment where the fate of her people rested in her hands. Faced with the risk of her own life, she could not ignore the divine call to step forward and save her people. She knew that the time to act was now, and the urgency in her heart drove her to make decisions that altered the course of history. For the chosen ones, this feeling manifests in different ways. You may be drawn to causes bigger than yourself, whether it's helping others, spreading truth, or advocating for justice. You might feel the weight of your purpose in the quiet moments, the moments that stir your spirit and remind you that you were meant for something greater. This sense of urgency is a powerful motivator. It drives you to overcome obstacles, to push past doubts, and to make the most of every opportunity. Like Esther, when you embrace this calling, you realize that you have a role to play in the world that cannot be ignored. The time to act is always now, and with each step, you're moving closer to fulfilling your divine purpose. Sign number 4. You are called to lead. God often calls the chosen ones to positions of leadership, though it may not always look like what we expect. Leadership in God's kingdom isn't limited to high-profile positions. It can manifest in the smallest yet most impactful ways. In fact, it's often in everyday settings, like your community, family, or career, where God places you in leadership roles to make a difference. Take the example of David. At a young age, he was chosen by God to be king, not because of his outward appearance, but because of his heart and faithfulness. As a shepherd, he showed qualities like courage, responsibility, and a deep connection to God, qualities that would serve him well when leading a nation. David's story teaches us that leadership is not about your title or status. It's about the heart posture God is shaping in you. Similarly, God may call you to lead in less glamorous settings. You might be asked to step up in your family to guide, protect, or teach those around you. In the workplace, it could mean leading by example, offering wisdom, or supporting others when they're in need. These positions of leadership are just as important, if not more, than the visible ones we often admire. Leadership, as God defines it, isn't about power or control. It's about service, humility, and being a vessel for His purpose. Whether in your home job or community, the calling to lead means embracing the opportunity to influence others in a way that reflects God's love and truth. As the chosen ones, you are being equipped to lead with integrity and wisdom no matter where you are. Sign number 5. You possess unusual courage. Courage isn't always something you feel, but rather something you choose to embody, especially when it counts. It's easy to feel hesitant or afraid when faced with the unknown. But when the moment calls for action, the chosen ones step up. Just like Joshua in the Bible, who was called to lead the Israelites into the Promised Land. You may find yourself in situations that seem overwhelming, but with God's strength you can rise to the occasion. Joshua's story is a powerful example of faith and courage. After Moses passed, God told Joshua to be strong and courageous, Joshua 1:9, because he was tasked with leading a nation into uncharted territory. Joshua was faced with giants, fortified cities, and a long journey, but his courage didn't come from his own strength. It came from trusting in God's promises. Even when fear seemed inevitable, Joshua knew that God's presence would go with him. Similarly, the chosen ones often face challenges that others might shy away from. Whether it's taking on a leadership role, making difficult decisions, or facing opposition, the courage to move forward comes from a deeper place, trusting that God will equip you for what lies ahead. You might not always feel fearless, but when the stakes are high, you'll find yourself stepping up in ways you never expected. God equips His chosen ones with the courage to face daunting challenges because He knows you're capable of more than you realize. Like Joshua, you don't have to have all the answers, just the faith to move forward with confidence that God is with you every step of the way. Sign number 6. You are given divine wisdom. The chosen ones often possess a profound understanding of life's mysteries that goes beyond conventional knowledge. It's not just about accumulating information from books or experiences. It's a kind of wisdom that comes directly from God. This divine wisdom allows them to see the world in a way that others might not, often grasping truths and insights that seem elusive to the average person. Take, for example, King Solomon, widely regarded as one of the wisest rulers in history. Solomon's wisdom was a gift from God, granted when he humbly asked for understanding to govern his people, was Kings 3:9-12. This wisdom enabled him to rule Israel with fairness, discernment, and foresight, solving complex issues that others couldn't comprehend. One of the most famous examples is his judgment in the case of two women claiming to be the mothers of the same child. Through divine insight, Solomon proposed to divide the child in two, revealing the true mother by her compassion, with Kings 3:16-28 for the chosen ones. Their wisdom often works in a similar way. It's not just about being smart or knowledgeable in the traditional sense, but about being attuned to God's guidance in their lives. This can manifest in many ways, whether it's knowing when to speak, when to act, or when to remain still. It's a deeper kind of knowing, rooted in faith, and trust that God will reveal the right path at the right time. This wisdom may confuse or even frustrate others who are more focused on logic or worldly knowledge. However, for the chosen ones, it's part of their divine purpose, a tool to navigate life and fulfill God's plan for them. Sign number 7. You have a unique calling. Every chosen one has a unique mission, a divine purpose crafted specifically for them. Take, for instance, Mary, the mother of Jesus. Her calling wasn't just a simple role in the story of Christ's birth. It was part of God's grand plan to bring salvation to the world. Mary's life was forever marked by the extraordinary, with her willingness to accept a divine calling that would transform human history. Her mission was irreplaceable, just like yours. As a chosen one, your calling is uniquely designed to fit your gifts, experiences, and passions. It might be in a field like business where you are called to innovate and impact industries with integrity. Perhaps your purpose is in education, empowering others to think critically and shape the future. Or maybe your calling lies in serving others, helping those in need, spreading compassion, and lifting spirits. Whatever it is a path only you can walk. No one else has your exact experiences, struggles, and strengths, and that's why your mission is uniquely yours. Just as no one else could take Mary's place in bringing Jesus into the world, no one else can fulfill your purpose the way you can. Each step you take in alignment with your divine calling brings you closer to fulfilling God's plan for you. It might not always be easy, but trust that your journey is essential and that your mission is part of something far greater than you can see. As you continue walking in faith, remember that your calling is unique, powerful, and part of the divine tapestry that weaves the fabric of God's perfect plan. Embrace it with confidence. Sign number 8. You experience spiritual warfare. Being chosen by God is not always a smooth journey. Quite the opposite, in fact. When you're walking in God's purpose, opposition often arises. This reality is clearly seen in the life of Jesus. After his baptism, he was led into wilderness, where he faced intense temptations from Satan. In those 40 days, he encountered hunger, isolation, and the direct challenge of his divine identity. But this wasn't a random trial. It was a test that ultimately prepared him for his ministry and affirmed his unwavering commitment to God's plan. Just like Jesus, you may find yourself facing battles that test your faith, and at times it may feel as though everything is working against you. These struggles are not signs that you're off track, but indicators that you're walking in the right direction. They are the refining fires that shape you, strengthen your resolve, and draw you closer to your divine calling. Every challenge you face serves a higher purpose. Whether it's doubts from others, personal struggles, or spiritual warfare, these experiences help you develop perseverance, patience, and trust in God, just as Jesus emerged from the wilderness stronger and more aligned with his mission. So will you emerge from your trials, not only stronger in your faith, but more prepared for the purpose God has set before you. Remember, these spiritual battles are part of the process. They're stepping stones on your journey to fulfilling your divine calling. So when you face opposition, don't be discouraged. Instead, trust that each challenge is strengthening your faith and bringing you closer to the incredible purpose God has for your life. Sign number 9. You feel the presence of God. The chosen ones are never truly alone, even during times of doubt or uncertainty. One of the most powerful truths is that God's presence remains unwavering, guiding them through every challenge. It's not just a comforting thought, it's a promise embedded in Scripture. Take Gideon, for example. In Judges 6, we see Gideon, a man full of doubt and self-doubt, called by God to lead Israel to victory over the Midianites. His response? How can I save Israel? My clan is the weakest, and I am the least in my family. Judges 6:15. Gideon felt inadequate, much like many of us when facing a daunting task. But God reassured him. I will be with you, Judges 6:16. Despite George's initial feelings of being overwhelmed and underprepared, God's peace and reassurance were enough to propel him forward. This is how God operates with the chosen ones. Even when everything seems uncertain, God's presence is a constant, guiding them through the chaos. It's easy to feel isolated, especially when the world around us feels confusing or disorienting. Yet the chosen ones know, deep down, that God's guidance is still at work, even when the path ahead isn't immediately clear. God doesn't call the equipped. He equips the called, just like Gideon, who went from hiding in a winepress to leading an army to victory. The chosen ones experience God's presence in extraordinary ways, through moments of peace, clarity, and divine intervention. They learn to trust that God's plan is unfolding, even when things don't make sense. So if you're ever feeling alone or unsure, remember this. God's presence is always with you, guiding and reassuring you, just as he did with Gideon. Trust in that, and you'll never walk alone, embracing your calling. So, there you have it. The 9 signs that you might be a chosen one. But here's the key. Being chosen doesn't mean you are perfect. It means God has a unique plan for your life. He's shaping you, refining you, and preparing you for something greater. Don't be discouraged by the challenges or doubts. Embrace your calling, step out in faith, and trust that God will equip you for every step of the journey. Now I want to hear from you. Do you recognize any of these signs in your life? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're ready to embrace your purpose, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you never miss a new video. Remember, you are not alone on this journey. God is with you every step of the way. Having said this, blessed and keep walking in faith. Until next time.